How the whole thing started. Well, I had the opportunity to trade places with Jasper McKinney and Nuri.
Hi Denise and all our exchange partners in North Carolina.
I thought by postcards I could get North Carolina to Northern Ireland, and then Jasper's people could get Northern Ireland to North Carolina.
Hey, hi everybody over in North Carolina. I'd just like to say hello.
A project like this starts with faith and it continues with faith, and to put this project in your hands means the world to me. I'm not afraid at all.
I guess at the beginning was kind of an unknown. You know, it was an interesting experience, and I was excited about being invited to that experience.
So it started out for sort of fun to see how many postcards could cross the Atlantic Ocean in 31 days. So happy. Even though
you were as manic as I am, and yesterday you were going to kill people, now you're happy.
Hi Chris, how are you? I'm Frances. I'm looking forward to meeting you, Chris. I'm sorry I'm such a bad correspondent, but I'm getting caught up on my mail, and I'm looking forward to meeting you next October.
And it was our first day back to class, and we had to choose to go see a certain presentation, and I chose to go to see Denise's and hear the story about what she went through.
When I first saw Anne's picture, I thought she looks like my sister, which doesn't really mean that that's a good fit, but I just kind of related to her.
I thought that was a great idea because I, as you know, came from Armagh campus, and I had met Tammy, but that was just briefly with Denise, and that was very formal, and it was sort of meet and greet to our own director.
Hi to everybody else. We're having a really good party here. Can't wait to see you all in October. Marianne, where is my tasks? You have not sent me one task. You used to be a deputy director. You're useless. Get me some mail.
Well, I was hesitant at first, but Denise is my best friend, and she kind of convinced me that it would be a lot of fun.
Well, I've had a long, fruitful, frivolous exchange with Denise over time.
Well, the first thing I remember about it was one morning having coffee with Denise, and she was talking about the trip to Ireland. And she said, I have this project that I'd like you to participate in.
Well, after she went back, she came with this idea of trying to match up 10 people from Newry with 10 people in North Carolina.
Knowing Denise, I knew it had to be something interesting and would turn out to be fun.
I do the college's grant writing, and Denise asked me if I'd be willing to help her with some fundraising activities for the project.
Knowing Denise, I should have said, what is it? But instead I just said, sure, why not?
She said she wanted some volunteers, and I said, sounds like fun, so I volunteered.
And I think she'd already chosen me as one of the participants, but I didn't know that yet.
First list that I got, I was like, uh-oh. I don't know. I wasn't quite planning to do it this way.
Initially, I thought I was going to jump in and get all the tasks done right away and do them, you know, efficiently and thoroughly.
We had to do things like photograph the interior of our fridge, our favourite shoes, and our hand.
It occurred to me, though, after we started meeting as a group, if some of the things the fellas maybe didn't relate to, like, you know, your favorite pair of shoes, I don't know that that's a guy thing. So that was definitely a chick request, I guess.
My task there was not really at Sandhill as such or crossing the Atlantic. It was more to go and see the furniture in Rockingham.
The structure she gave us was excellent because it did make me look at other things that I wouldn't have.
A couple times my camera didn't work, so I had to use a Kodak little cheapy thing, and I didn't like my pictures, and then I never got around to doing them again. So there were a few, you know, mishaps on my part.
I was matched up with Ron, and one of the tasks we had to do was to take a photograph of ourselves. Well, I got a postcard with a black and white image on one side and a quarter of an image of Ron on the other. So it took several weeks to get the full picture of what Ron actually looked like.
Well, I was surprised at myself in that even with a relatively minimal number of tasks, and it was relatively minimal, I still had the toughest of times squeezing it in. And it wasn't because it wasn't on my mind, because I kept the box right in front of me on my desk. It's just our lives get so crowded every day, and to take the time out, it was a necessary sacrifice.
So the very first time I actually sat down to break bread with anybody was that St. Patrick's do and that Irish theme do. And I thought it was wonderful because, I mean, it really brought it home to me kind of, meeting the people that I actually work with are in the same business as I am.
I'm really looking forward to meeting you, Deborah. Tammy here has told me so much about you. We're having a beautiful evening. I know you teach politics and our politics is different. We filled in a little form to who would be invited to dinner. You said you wanted to invite Hillary and Bill Clinton. I said George Bush and Condoleezza Rice. I'm sure we'll have some good debate when we do meet.
Hi, Speaker, hold on. Hi, honey, how are you? We're falling into fun. Right, everybody say hi.
Hi. All the way to USA.
We've had our starter.
From a mobile phone where Denise joined our dinner party that night, and we had all our paying friends in front of us, but then I was actually being able to say, hi, who are you and who's your partner? And it was that link, that was the first kind of gel.
We're filming you now on the mobile phone.
But there again, as soon as that was over, I went back to my writing, and it was only when we actually gelled up at the airport that, I actually felt, yeah, this is what it's all about, this is full circle.
Professor Ed Tweedy paid a visit to Lurgan College and saw the furniture that we were producing within Lurgan. And he was very excited about this because Rockingham College also did furniture. So it was really the furniture link brought me on board.
I was very apprehensive, do you know what I mean? Because I actually felt, again, the dinner was held in the graduate in Newry, so everything seemed to be Newry based, and I felt, they're all working close together. Because, I felt that, you could run down the corridor and say, hi Tammy, or George could run down the corridor and say, well, how's John? And that you'd all go for pints after work. Whereas I felt, I don't know these people at all, and I didn't know Mark, I hadn't even met Mark. So when I was at the airport, I remember thinking, I just hope it all works out,
I arrived at the airport meeting 4 strange people that I had never met before in all my life. Apprehensive, I suppose, to a certain extent, not knowing why they were going and what the whole trip was about as such.
We discovered that not all 10 of us could actually go over to Sandhills, and there were 5 of us that were actually selected. Denise wanted me to go over because of a film that I'd actually made in 2005.
The next stop is Terminal C. Please hold on while the train is moving. Airlines at Terminal C are Continental, except Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, and Washington, D.C. Continental International arrivals, Continental Express. We are approaching the station.
Well, here we are.
Oh my God, we did it.
We were actually driving the plane, but at that stage we said no.
I said, where are my people? Where are my people? And we was I think she's going to think we weren't on this flight. She's not giving birth to kittens.
I'm getting nervous.
We finally
I said, I don't have butterflies. I have salamanders in my stomach. We haven't had any rain,
Yeah, we're crispy mode.
We're in for shock. We're in for shock. Yeah.
Oh, God bless you. You got all better just for me. I've been validated. It's all cool. Now, Mark, I don't believe a word these people said about me.
I mean, it's good things, honestly.
Say, picture taking. This is it.
I know there were people in my family who have passed on that would have thought it was a really great thing. I said to somebody one day that my mother was a great letter writer, and she always saw the value of writing letters, so she would have thought the idea of having something that was enforcing the concept of writing letters instead of emailing and things like that. So, that would have seemed really important to her.
They couldn't understand.
Yeah. Different language.
Yes, they speak a totally different language.
Charlotte the capital, or is Raleigh the capital? Charlotte
Raleigh is.
Raleigh.
But Charlotte, I think, is actually a bigger city.
Yeah.
This is all, is it?
Where's that going? You live in a town, you don't ever stay in that hotel.
Yes, it goes through center of Southern Pines.
All right, you guys get back. So sorry.
Back is about 4 blocks out. Anywhere?
No, the train runs. The train runs right.
Better not get pushed. Sure, I like hearing the train. I know it's midnight when the train goes through. Must be one that goes through at 11 too.
All right, let's just switch vehicles right around the end.
I can't move anymore.
I'm delirious.
I'm just going to lie in one of these cars and sleep. This is perfectly fine.
Maybe the even numbers are upstairs.
I'm not walking up.
Where is 146?
Maybe on the inside. I would think it would be down here.
No, but look, there's 145 and that one's 147.
Where's 144?
But I'm 146.
You sleep in the column.
I'm 128.
Is that where I pole dance?
217.
This is crazy.
The trip gave us all a chance to drive on the right-hand side of the road, which the Americans do.
Oh, that was great. And that was, to me, was my highlight of it all. It really was.
I think for Anne this was quite an experience because it was really something she wanted to prove that she could do. And she was quite determined to get behind the wheel and have a go.
No, I just sort of said to my 27-year-old son, look what your mother can still do. She is not ready for the heat yet.
First of all, I have driven in Europe, but I've never driven in America ever. And I sort of said to Tommy on the side, you and I'll do it. And she says, no, I'm not interested. And I thought, well, then I'm still going to fight my way to, I want to drive. I just want to be able to achieve this.
The speeds were a lot slower than we would be used to over here. Everybody seemed to drive at a much bigger sort of space between each of the cars. It was easy to pull out and so on. So I found it a very easy and a very enjoyable experience, to be honest, as well. A fantastic part of the trip.
I'm so pleased with myself. I really still am to this day delighted that I was able to drive on USA Highway. When I retire, I'll do the Route 66. Now I'm confident that I definitely will do that.
I made a film in 2005 called Fiddler's Walk. It was a low-budget feature film which Denise wanted to show her friends in North Carolina. She'd originally set up a screening in a local cinema, but the dates of us going over were changed, so unfortunately we couldn't show it there, and we ended up seeing it in the Sandhill Community College. Ron and Larry took me to the North Carolina Film School, where I got to meet John LeBlanc, who is a cinematographer. He was giving a demonstration to his students of lighting techniques, and I also had the experience of the students working as a team to pull off a shoot using film.
Okay, you guys ready? Camera ready? Actors ready?
There we go. Keep the light just like that.
Okay. Roll sound, please.
Speed. Scene 1, take 1.
Roll camera.
Camera's rolling.
Marker.
Make out.
And action. And cut.
The experience of going to North Carolina and meeting Americans was great because we'd all got a very media-orientated view of what Americans were actually like. And when we finally got there and saw how similar to ourselves they were and how like-minded they are, we began to realize that a lot of what we get is propaganda.
Definitely eye-opening to see how other countries view our country. We think we're the greatest, we're the best, and not everybody shares that opinion. And my partner is frankly honest young lady, and I mean, she actually made some comments that, at first I was like, man, that's pretty brutal. But then once you think about it and you step back and look at the whole picture, that unfortunately it's reality.
Came from TV and films, I suppose I had a preconception of Americans being loud and obnoxious and so on, and I find them absolutely amazing people, very friendly, very open, very warm, very sincere in everything they did. I was really very impressed, very impressed with the people and the country.
France is definitely into the history of Ireland. And as just, it was so brutally obvious of how proud she is to be Irish and all the hardships that the country has endured, and very proud of that fact, and that family-oriented, church-oriented, and the value of hard work is recognized.
The whole trip was such a fast-paced event that we felt as though we'd actually put 2 weeks in and not just one.
Dr. Dempsey, I just want to present you these from the Southern Regional College, and just in our gratitude for all the endless support you've given to Denise and to yourselves, and for your hospitality and happiness here. And that sugar medicine. And the sugar medicine.
Again, from the Newry and North District Council.
Thank you very much. That's very, very good. I appreciate it.
The winner is Denise from Baker. Included the tag, 276.
Oh, I am 272.
There were things organised for us every single day, and we were taken out for meals every night, and we got to meet lots and lots of different locals in various different venues.
And I am very emotional about my age and that I got to see this dream come true. And this I have to thank Mr. Dempsey for. That has established and worked so hard to establish this connection between our university and your university here. Because we've met a lot of people that have come to our university, and we've now met a lot of people here. And we also got the ability to meet a lot of same professors from Ireland as well.
I hope that you guys, some of the rest of us as faculty members or as staff members can get to Albania, because it's a remarkable place and a remarkable experience. And of course, a boy like me is fond of Ireland as well.
We also got taken to the Rotary Club, where Denise gave a big speech about the exhibition and explained the purpose of it all.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Play ball. May I present you with this plaque of Newry and Mourne District Council, presented to your club as a memento of this trip, and also extend to you the greetings from the Rotary Club back in Newry.
Imagine at my age to trade jobs, homes, and cars with a perfect stranger. This is just a little idea involving a postage stamp, kind of two-dimensional, and I'm like, wow, maybe 50 postcards, maybe 100, 1,475 postcards across the Atlantic Ocean between North Carolina and Northern Ireland. I was trying to think of a way that I could turn this into an exhibit, because these postcards, we have so much in common with Northern Ireland, with the mountains and the coast, the education system, and even though we have our differences, I think as human beings we all want the same thing. We want to be safe and happy and have quality of life. So when I met these wonderful people, I thought, well, let's have a stage 2 of this project, because I was embraced by the Irish, but my courage arrived daily in my mailbox from North Carolina. So what I did is I matched up these great people and 5 more of their colleagues with pen pals, with the promise that they wouldn't exchange any information electronically for 1 year. And I created, I'm a printmaker, and I made these little boxes that had tasks. For example, the first task was your basic outline, your name, your birthday, your kids, your dogs. I gave them each a disposable camera, and they had to send 10 photographs, and they had to be 4 by 6. A picture of their family, their workspace, their bedside table, the inside of their refrigerator. George's wife made him buy a new refrigerator.
You know, you've done enough shows. And you know,
I like the adrenaline rush of not sure how it's going to all happen, you know. It's like, I do enjoy it.
Listen,
I have such little fun in my life, so
I love the handwriting on the wall. And I wanted to get clear acetate up here that said handwriting on the wall. Do you think that's too much?
I think now you're going to be overkill.
Okay, I'd leave it.
I love what you did in those windows.
But I think this is the handwriting on the wall, you know? Isn't that cool? These are shower curtains that are hand sewn. Sister Claire, it's even nicer than a nun from Thailand.
The exchange originally started, I think, with kind of an assignment, you know, and as you kind of get into the assignment and you get feedback from the other side in the same kind of realm, it was, I've said this before, but it's interesting to see the similarities more so than just the differences, and it's not so unusual and it's less intimidating, I think, when you look at those kind of things that bond us together more.
The fellow that I ended up writing to was Martin McGinn, and he sent me a lot of postcards from his vacation, so it became very personal very quickly. He seemed to be having a great time, so that made it a lot of fun.
And the neat thing that I think I had, and everybody else is getting now, was the chance to actually meet my partner. And she's not here now, of course, but I did have several weeks over the summer to work with Mandy. And as I said then, what was really interesting was that I felt like I already knew her when she showed up. It wasn't like, well, who is this person? What are they about? And are they married? What do they like? What do they do? All that was out of the way. So it was sort of an immediate, you knew the person and you had bonded before you ever even met them.
Well, a lot of our communications weren't about school. It was more about family and, you know, what's going on in our lives. Never really got into comparisons of the two schools.
The whole experience, meeting Anne through writing and discovering things about her, and of course sharing the pictures really made it easier. I had a great time, and I think that Anne and I have forged a friendship that I hope we can maintain.
It also reinforces the idea of actually writing letters and sending postcards, the idea of what can be considered art, rather than just the normal, you know, painting, drawing, those kinds of things, but the idea of bringing 20 people together and doing something back and forth and calling that art and seeing where it goes. The idea of having it here, having it go to Ireland, having PBS here to film it, you know, wherever it goes is amazing.
It's already gone way beyond what we ever imagined. I love the idea that we can pack the whole exhibit up and send it over to Neary and have it exhibited there. I think that'd be wonderful if some of us could go over there too with it.
Well, I think the next step would be for us to, whether it's an exchange or not, but to visit the school and the community that John and you guys have told us so much about, and Denise has told us so much about, and just have the opportunity to experience your culture. Because we've shared it through writing, and you've been able to be here and share ours or little pieces of it. And I'd love to be able to experience what you've told us about.
One of the things that's become obvious through participating in exchange is how much we've gone away from writing letters to one another, and how we're using more email and telephone. We're kind of losing a heritage that past generations have left behind for us. When people look back from the future to see what we've left behind, they may find there's nothing there at all, it's all gone. And the reason for this is that we're using more volatile medium, which is digital.
The exchanges that took place, I think the best part of it is that it reminds you that the human experience is universal. And you see that in the life of the person with whom you're corresponding in ways that you couldn't have imagined before you met them, in quotation marks, through these epistles.
Well, I think it would be nice to, obviously I'd like to go to Ireland. I'd like Paul to come here. He's my exchange partner. And at that point, I think maybe student exchange, which would be the next step, and then just kind of continue to grow from that point. And somehow to keep it, you know, it was an assignment at this point, but now it should be something that we just kind of keep it going because we want to keep it going.
Well, I think, of course, the most special thing was the friendship that was started between me and Tammy. But then, now that we're all together, it's like, you know, all of us have become very close friends, and I just think that's really the most special part of the whole thing. And even on this campus, the 10 participants have gotten to know each other really well and have gotten really close. So it's been just a wonderful experience all around.
Well, my perception first was, you know, an Irish cooking school. You know, again, we're Americans, we think we're the best at everything. And when I found out about the Institute and went on the webpage and checked that out, it blew my mind of how good it was and how extensive that it is. And it's huge, too, from the looks of it. That one building and all the programs they have, and the fully operating restaurants and how often they and the students run the restaurants. It's pretty impressive.
But I'm seeing a lot of, you know, similarities in the participants. And I know Denise put some time into thinking about, you know, who she was going to match up.
It was, first of all, not just a meeting of minds across the pond and across the Atlantic, but I was actually meeting people like yourselves for the first time. Just because we work in the same business doesn't mean to say that we actually socialise or know each other. And I think it was kind of, as I said before, that week we spent together, I now know that core group of 4 or 5 people even more intimately than the people I've worked 4 or 5 years with, because we're all so busy and we say hello in passing on the corridors and we forget to ask each other how you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Having seen the exhibition in America, I'm annoyed that I didn't get involved, but I did hear snippets coming through emails and so on. I wasn't really aware of what it was about and probably just ignored them, and you know, to my regret, I didn't sort of pay more heed at the time. I could have been more part of it as such.
Well, you know, I think it just strengthens the fact that we're all really brothers and sisters in this big world, and we all have similar likes and similar dislikes and interests, and we all love family, and I just think it's just that we're all the same. Our accents may be different, but pretty much we're all the same.
The thing that's beautiful about this is it's grassroots. It grew from a tiny little seed, which was a postage stamp. And here we are in the 3-dimension. And we've got 5 of our colleagues here from Ireland, and it just doesn't get any better. The only thing that could be better if the other 5 could have been here.